Good morning. My name is Cindy Vo. I am with eXp Commercial. Our team is Unified Commercial Group. And I just want to share with you a little bit about my background because I see some new faces here. I was in the title industry for about 20 years as an escrow officer, closing all different types of transactions for both residential and commercial. Several months ago, I made a drastic decision to retire from title and transition myself into commercial real estate full time. Um, can be, asking for more. Life is great. Now I get to spend more time with my kids, my family, and do what I love. Continue to do a lot of classes because that's my passion. So I just want to share with you the agenda for today. First of all, there's a lot of information. So when you see there's over 100 slides, you're not going to be here with me all day, just half a day. um, so, like we're going to start with the hospitality because that's a more broad and general term. And then after that, we're going to go detail into hotel. Okay. I'm going to cover what is hospitality, what is a hotel, and then all the details, information, including the categories, the types, and also the classification. And then towards the end, I'm going to share with you. Most of you guys here are agents. So as an agent, when you represent the buyer or seller in a hotel transaction, what are the things that you need to know, right? Because that's important. And then next up, I'm going to bring up our guest speaker. He's going to talk about the commercial loans and specifically for the hotel transaction. And then follow is going to be one of our greatest investor. He has been in the hotel industry. Him and his family has been in the hotel industry for over 2 decades. So he's going to share with you guys how it's like to be a hotel owner. And then I'm going to bring up one of our partners that we work with in the hotel franchise industry, Sonesta Hotel Franchiser. And then, of course, we're going to bring up our lunch sponsor, Titan Title. Okay? So a lot of information, just bear with me. Before I start the presentation, I want you to empty your brain because I don't want you to overwhelm. Okay? Are you ready? Yeah. We're going to have fun here, so I'm going to need you to, engage and maybe take a break and dance or something like that, right? Maybe not the dance part, but oh man. Okay, so first up is what is hospitality? Have we heard that word before? Yes. Do we have an idea what it is? Yes. Okay. What is it?
Like the way in which you serve people,
Mm-hmm.
or like hosting.
Right. Okay. So here's a more detail of what is hospitality. Okay. Hospitality, like I say, is a very broad term that encompasses the service and reception provided to guests or strangers, ensuring their comfort, enjoyment, and well-being. It is an integral part of many industries, including travel, tourism, and event management. So it's very broad. Out of hospitality, there's hotel, right? So that's the main subject that we're going to talk about today is on hotel. So I'm going to glance through this real quick because it's very broad. So what are some of the types of hospitality, okay, in general? There's accommodation. So they have subcategorized and they have many different types. Some of the hospitalities are hotels, motels, resorts, B&Bs or bed and breakfast, hostels, vacation rentals. Okay, there's food and beverage, restaurants, cafes, bars and pubs, catering services, food trucks. Many. And travel and tourism, airlines, cruise lines, tour operators, travel agencies. Okay. And then last but not least is recreation and entertainment. There's theme parks, there's casinos, there's sporting venues, there's golf courses, etc. Okay. Many more. So there's a lot of different types and categories under just that one hospitality. Okay. If we talk about hospitality, you're going to be here with me all month long. Okay. So from there, we're going to be talking about hotel, right? Because that's our topic today. What is a hotel? All right. So a hotel is an establishment that provides lodging, meals, and other services for travelers and tourists. Hotels vary widely in size, function, and cost, offering a range of amenities and services to cater to different needs and budgets. Here are some key aspects of hotels. So by star rating, okay, there's budget hotels. So that means 1 to 2 stars. They have the basic accommodations with minimal amenities, okay? Affordable rates after including essentials like a bed and a bathroom. That's it, 1 to 2 star, okay? And then it goes up to mid-range hotels, 3 stars. You're gonna run into most investors that will be focusing in this range, okay? And then we can go more detail when it comes down to classifications again, okay? So for the mid-range hotels, these are considered as comfortable accommodations with standard amenities, such as free Wi-Fi, breakfast, and possibly a fitness center or pool, right? And so when we travel for business or for family time, we usually stay in the 3-star hotel, right? It's suitable for business travelers and families. That's what I just mentioned. Okay, so then next is called the luxury hotels, 4 to 5 stars. These are high-end accommodations with premium amenities, including fine dining, concierge services, spas, and luxury furnishings, cater to high-income travelers seeking an upscale experience, okay? Now, if you go by functional theme, there's business hotels, okay? They are located in the business districts, offering amenities like conference rooms, business centers, and high-speed internet. Often cater to business travelers with early check-in, late checkout options, okay? There's also resort hotels located in vacation destinations, offering recreational facilities such as pools, golf courses, and organized activities. They're focusing on leisure and relaxation. So these are resorts. I'm sure you've been there. And then next is the boutique hotels. They're smaller, independently operated hotels with a unique style or theme, offer personalized services and a more intimate experience. There's also extended stay hotels, and these are designed for long-term guests, providing amenities like kitchens or kitchenettes, laundry facilities, and larger living spaces, ideal for business travelers on extended assignments or families relocating. Okay, so these are more long-term. Usually they stay at least for like 2, 3, 4 weeks or a couple months, almost like an apartment rental, right? Because sometimes as a contractor, like it could be an IT or a salesperson, they often travel, right? They have projects going on. And so they would stay at one place longer, but they don't know how long to stay. So they can't just sign up an apartment for like 6 months or a year, but they need all the amenities, all the, every day. So they would rather stay at the extended stay hotel, okay? And then there's also airport hotels, of course, just like the words. It is located near airports, offering shuttle services and amenities tailored to short-term stays for travelers with layovers or early flights. Are you bored yet? No. All right, so there's some other types of hotels as well, and it is under services and amenities. For the basic services, there's housekeeping, front desk, basic toiletries, okay? Next up is additional amenities. So with the hotels, and most of you guys went to my classes before, when we talk about different categories, different types, there's still under the same roof, but it's just like the property types, the usage that's making them different. With the hotels, you can see it's different, right? It's not only about the condition of the hotel, the services, the lodging, the amenities. With all of that combined, it differentiates them into different categories. So it's more in depth, right? When it comes out to the types of hotels. So there are 3 classes of hotels, just like any commercial property, there's 3 classifications, okay? Usually with the other types of commercial properties, you are differentiating the classification by the location, right? The age of the building, the amenities. With the hotel, it's kind of similar, but it has more add-on, okay? So it's a little bit different compared to other types of commercials. So like I said, hotel classification system vary by country and organization as well, okay? But the general idea is to categorize hotels based on their quality, amenities, and services. Here's a basic outline. So for Class A hotels, luxury and high-end, these hotels offer top-notch amenities, high standards of service, and superior comfort. And then for the facilities, is offering multiple dining options, extensive leisure facilities, usually with a spa, the pool, concierge services, and often unique or luxurious rooms. For the service, is exceptional service with a high staff to guest ratio. Okay, so these are Class A. When it comes to Class B, again, B is in the middle, so it is considered as a mid-range. These hotels offer good quality accommodation and services with fewer luxury amenities compared to A class. For the facilities, is basic dining options, some leisure facilities, and comfortable, well-maintained rooms. And for the service, is good service, though less personalized compared to A class hotels. Okay. And then, of course, next is C class hotels. Budget-friendly facilities is limited amenities. Some may not have anything. And then for the service, it's just for functional service, often with fewer staff members, okay? So when you go into a C-class hotel, you cannot expect the services and everything as if it's Class A, of course, it's different. So what are some of the characteristics, okay? Who's here have somewhat related to hotel transaction or who have been doing hotel transaction before? No, okay. So let me ask you this. Have you heard the word flag hotel? Flag, okay. So this is the main thing. When you get into the hotel industry on the real estate side and helping your clients, you need to know all these terminologies because it's very important. And again, as I share with you at every single training, right, when it comes to commercial, it's a completely different animal. When you providing services to your clients, it's not like residential, where just finding homes that meet criteria and negotiate the price and then run the costs, right? That's not it. With these, you have to have all the knowledge, you have the experience, you have the researches. When they talk to you, you're dealing with investors versus homeowners. So when you work with investors, if you don't know what you're saying, you probably have, your opportunity is gone, right? So when it comes to hotel, you're gonna hear a lot of flag hotel, okay? Flag hotel means that it's branding. And in wherever you go in the hotel, if you see there's flag in front, that's the flag hotel. That means it has a branding, okay? Versus boutique hotels. So most of the time for the flag hotel are, with the franchisor, they're franchise. Like Holiday Inn, Marriott, Wyndham, Sonesta, etc. Those are considered as flag hotel. So if you provide information to your clients, the first thing they probably ask you is, what is the condition of, what is the hotel right now that you're giving me? Is it flag or is it non-flag? And you were like, what does that mean? Let me go and check if there's a flag in front. Not like that, right? But in order for you to put a flag, that means it's franchise. Okay? So what are some key characteristics of a flag hotel? So we're going to be talking about flag hotel versus non-flag, right? And then boutique hotel or independent hotel versus franchise, okay? You see all the comparison. And then, like I said, I'm going to share with you the important thing, you as a realtor, when it comes to representing your clients on buyers and sellers, what are the things that you need to know or prepared before you presenting a deal to your clients, okay? So some of the characteristics of flag hotels include, but not limited to, is brand affiliation. That's what it is. It's about the branding, the flag branding. And whichever franchise that they're getting, that's the flag that's going to be sitting in front of that hotel. Okay? The brand name, the hotel carries the name and branding of a larger hotel chain or franchisor. Standards and guidelines, the hotel adheres to the brand standards, including design, service quality, and operational procedures. Very similar to any franchisee out there, right? Whenever it comes to the branding, let's say if you buy Starbucks or other branding, McDonald's, everything has to be the same requirements because it needs to be unified throughout all of their locations. Okay, so that's why it's very important. You can't walk into one Sonesta hotel and then you walk into the other, it's like day and night. Each category has their own standards and requirements. Okay. For the franchise agreements, often a flag hotel operates under a franchise agreement where the hotel owner pays fees to the brand for using its name, system, and marketing, right? Very similar to any companies out there. Management agreement, alternatively, the hotel might be managed directly by the brand under a management agreement where the brand operates the hotel on behalf of the owner. So based on my experience, if you work with a startup hotel and they choose to go with a franchisor, right? These may be the best option for them because they don't have experience in operating a hotel, okay? So there are brands out there that they also have their own management operation company that can assist them with, okay? Another thing is their standards compliance must comply with the brand's quality and service standards, ensuring a consistent guest experience. The hotel benefits from brand's marketing reach, reservation systems, and loyalty programs. Okay, these are benefits. And then for the revenue and fees, hotel owners typically pay ongoing fees, such as franchise royalties and marketing contributions. If managed by the brand, the hotel may pay management fees based on revenue or profits. Okay. Recognition, is the branding. Again, the hotel gains the advantage of the brand's recognition and reputation, which can attract guests who prefer staying at familiar brands. So a lot of times people would like to go to the branding hotel versus a boutique where they're like, well, I don't even know what that name is, right? I've never been there. But if you go to a branding like a Sonesta or Hilton, it's all over the world and you feel more comfortable for staying there because of the branding itself. For the support, access to the brand support systems, including training, operational system, and supplier networks. Okay, now we're going to be talking about, oops, wrong slide. Hold on, sorry. I think we got this already. Fees and costs. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the non-flag hotels. Okay. No brand affiliation. Operate independently without association with a major hotel chain. Unique identity, however, right? Because they can create a unique brand and identify based on local market preferences and style. So these are usually best if for someone that start up a small boutique hotel locally, right? So maybe like a small town where there's only a small population, that way they can create the brand and just like if they're the first little hotel in that town, okay? But again, it depends on the owner's perspective and what their business management, operation ideas, goals is going to be. That's why when we work with clients, we usually, give them advice and give them different options. I usually go to my contact at the franchisor because I can trust them that when they talk to my clients and talk to a particular hotel, they can give guidance of, they're going to be upfront and honest with you. Okay, is it going to be best to franchise with us or if it's going to be best to operate independently, right? Because at the end of the day, it's always about the client's benefits. So for the local marketing, often rely on local marketing and word of mouth. just referral. Limited global reach may have less visibility compared to flag hotels with global marketing power. Okay, so it's like a startup company, right? Individually owned, maybe family members, a few family come in and do it, but there's not a lot of room to grow or expand in different locations because it's not branded. Okay. However, they have the freedom to operate their hotel however they want it. Right? They don't have to go with all the compliances and all the standards and the requirements that a franchisor is expecting, right? But they have limited support because they're by themselves. Just like you guys, agents, either once you get your broker license and be your own broker, or you're gonna joining a big brokerage out there where you have the support. Same, okay? For the fees and costs, there's no franchise fees. The owner controls the cost, okay? And then the flexibility, they have greater flexibility in operations, again, because the owner controls it. But it's just me, myself, and Cindy, kind of like that. They have unique experience that can offer a more personalized or a unique guest experience. What are some of the disadvantages for being a non-flag hotel? Okay, marketing challenges. They may face challenges in attracting guests without the backing of a major brand. Okay, operational efforts need to develop and maintain operational system and procedures independently. Again, it's just a startup company by yourself, right? Independently. You don't get any other supports except you. Okay. So for the summary between flag and non-flag, flag hotels benefit from brand recognition, global marketing reach, and standardized operations, but face higher fees and less operational flexibilities. For non-flag hotels, offer independence, flexibility, and potential cost savings, but may struggle with visibility and marketing without the support of a major brand. Okay, so you see the difference? The choice between flag and non-flag hotels depends on factors such as the target market, investment goals, and desired level of operational control. Okay, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Write down your questions at the end and we'll answer it for you, okay? All right, so here are some pros and cons in investing in hotels. For the pros, revenue potential, high returns. Hotels, especially in prime locations, can offer significant returns on investment through room rates, event hosting, and additional services, okay? Diversification. Investment in hotels can diversify your portfolio, providing income from a different sector compared to traditional stocks or bonds, okay? And also for the real estate value, hotels in desirable locations often appreciate in value, adding to the long-term investment potential. Increases in tourism and business travel can lead to higher occupancy rates and revenues. Hotels can adjust pricing based on demand, potentially maximizing profits during peak periods. These are under economic and market trends. That also the pros for the investor, okay? Some of the tangible asset, the physical property itself. Real estate can offer a sense of security compared to more abstract investments. And then the opportunity for branding. Investing in or developing a hotel allows for the creation of a unique brand or niche, which can attract a loyal customer base. So these are the pros, okay? What are some of the cons for owning a hotel? High initial investments. Hotels require significant upfront capital for construction, renovation or purchase, and ongoing operational costs can be substantial. Management challenges. Running a hotel involves complex operations, including staffing, maintenance, marketing, and guest services. 24/7 operation. Hotels operate around the clock, requiring constant attention to management. Okay. When it comes to market, as economic sensitivity, the hospitality industry can be highly sensitive to economic downturns, natural disasters, and global events affecting occupancy rates and revenue. For example, during the pandemic, okay, they were struggling. And then there's ongoing cost. Regular maintenance and upgrades are necessary to keep the property attractive and competitive, leading to additional expenses. Okay, and then there's competition, there's compliance issues. So in investing, hotels requires thorough research, a good understanding of the hospitality industry, and effective management strategies to navigate the risk and capitalize on the opportunities. So here comes to your part. When representing buyers and sellers in a hotel transaction, a commercial agent needs to have a deep understanding of both the general commercial real estate market and the specific nuances of the hospitality industry. Here's what an agent should know. You ready for this? You may forget the rest, but you got to remember this part. Okay? So, when you represent the buyers, what are some of the things that you really need to know? First, hotel market insights. That's very important. You got to know the market conditions. You got to understand the trends in the hotel industry, including occupancy rates, average daily rates or ADR, revenue per available room, RevPAR, and competitive landscape. There's also location analysis, right? Because usually as a hotel owner, unless it's a boutique independently, just have one hotel, most of the hotel investors are all over, right? They can invest hotels in different states, sometimes globally as well. So international when it comes to hotels. Then you got to know the location analysis for that particular property. You got to evaluate the hotel's location for factors like tourism appeal, business demand, and local economic conditions. Okay. Normally, when you work with clients on, let's say, retail shopping centers or office building, then you need to know the evaluation of the property itself, and then also the tenants or the lease comps or the insights, right? As you can see here, you got to know all the other factors as well. And these are not it, okay? When it comes to financial analysis, you need to review the hotel's financial performance, including income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements, okay? Valuation metrics, use metrics such as cap rate, ADR, RevPAR, and historical performance data to assess value. Other types of commercial, usually you're looking at the cap rate, the NOI, right? The P&L, the expenses, but here add on more, there's ADR, RevPAR, and other historical performance as well, okay? When it comes to operational, yes, you're not operating the hotel, but you need to know how it should be operating, right? Understand the current management structure and staffing levels and access the quality of service and operational efficiency. Evaluate the physical condition of the hotel, including guest rooms, amenities, and common areas. Okay. When you work with hotel clients too, everyone is, sometimes they don't just buy existing hotels. They also buy what we call it a conversion, right? So it could be an existing building. Now, imagine you're working with investors, okay? Investors, unless it's a first-time owner or sometimes, it depends on the client base, right? Some clients just want an existing building. They just go in, already under operational, take over. Well, what does that mean? Higher costs to get themselves into, right? But most investors were looking at conversion or opportunities to convert into hotel. Because for big investors out there, most of them have their own construction company, right? They like to go in, they like to buy the distressed building or, an existing hotel maybe, but needs to bring up the value, right? More like Class C. And then convert them, remodel them, flag it, etc. Okay? So here's very important for you when representing the buyer is when it comes to due diligence. Do we know what due diligence is? I know you hear this word a lot, right? For residential, you don't hear due diligence. Residential is option period, 5, 7, 10 days, right? Every time it comes to commercial, it's all about due diligence, okay? We use the word inspection period, It's all due diligence. So once it's under contract, the buyer has their own due diligence, but you as an agent, before putting any deal under contract, here are your due diligence that you need to learn, okay? Legal and regulatory issues. Review compliance with local regulations, zoning laws, and health and safety codes. Okay. Contractual obligations. Check for existing management contracts, franchise agreements, or lease terms that may affect the transaction. This is when I highly recommend you should be doing this or advise your clients on every commercial transaction, especially hotel, is what? Have their own attorney. Okay? Because you can only do so much and act so much, but you're not an attorney. You're not going to do what? Give what? Legal advices. Okay? So we have some attorneys in-house too. So I'm sure connect with them after the class. Okay? Because, and I will share with you a sample of the contract too, because when you work with other types of commercial, you can use them on TAR or NACAR, right? Not for hotel. Hotel needs an attorney to draft up, okay? So, the revenue and performance projections. This is also important. It helps buyers assess the potential for future performance based on market trends, renovations, or changes in management. This is also something the lender will be looking at as well, okay? Future projection. For the financing options, loan structures. Of course, you're not doing loans, but these are for resources and learning. Understand the financing options specifically to hotel properties, including commercial mortgages and specialized hotel loans. Okay, that's why you gotta work with a commercial lender. Before you work with your clients, you need to have all your resources. You need to have your own team, your real estate club, right? So when you do a presentation, like what I do is when I find deals for the clients, I don't just say, oh, hey, Sadaf, here's a hotel, what I find for you. They were like, okay, well, they're gonna start asking me like 10 million questions that I have no idea how to answer. So I have to do my research, I have to do my homework of, okay, this is this. But what I do differently from probably most of you or most other agents is before I presenting a deal that I think is fit the criteria, I also run by the commercial lender contact that I have already. And I will be saying, let's say, Davis, this is what I think is gonna fit best for my clients based on your expertise, right? Share with me some of your thoughts. And if, it's a good deal, the lender contact relationship that you have may already run the term sheet for you. So imagine if I'm presenting to Sadaf, I say, Sadaf, I found this property for you. I even run by the commercial lender already, and this is what they're looking at. They even give us a term sheet of, okay, this is good, right? And remember, when it comes to commercial, you can't just find comps on residential. So you know what I do? I leverage my commercial lender friend, because when they come back and they say, okay, well, this deal is asking for $7 million, but the lender come back and say, well, we're going to give like $6 million as if it's a purchase price. So you see, then you have some extra information when it comes to negotiation. But always prepare yourself and be professional. So when I send her the presentation, I have everything in hand ready, okay? So for the brand affiliation, consider the impact of any existing brand or franchise affiliation on buyers' plans, including any required agreements or fees. That's on the buyer side. You got it now when you leave? Okay. Bottom line, have yourself resources, okay? You're not sure about franchise? We have the franchise company here. We have commercial lender here. We have attorneys here. We got everybody here in the house for you, okay? So now when it comes to sellers, you probably think, oh, well, representing the sellers is easy. I just need to list it and then waiting for an offer to come in, right? Or an LI. Well, no, that's not it, okay? How do you get a listing presentation with the seller on hotel? You got to understand the appraisal. Conduct a thorough appraisal of the hotel, considering its income potential, market position, and operational performance. You also have to do the market comparisons. So you're going to use comparables and recent sales data of similar hotels to determine an appropriate listing price. Okay? Targeted marketing. Develop a marketing strategy to reach potential buyers, including institutional investors, hotel chains, or private equity. Enhance a property's appeal by addressing any maintenance issues and presenting detailed performance data. Okay? Offer management. Present and negotiate offers, ensuring that the terms align with the seller's objectives. And then, of course, transaction coordination. Oversee the sale process, including coordinating with legal professionals, accountants, and other stakeholders. Okay? Again, when it comes to legal and compliance knowledge, ensure all required disclosures about the property's condition and operational history are made, and prepare and review purchase agreements addressing any terms related to management contracts or brand affiliations. Okay? Now, because it's on the seller side, you also need to advise on potential tax impacts, including capital gains tax and any applicable local taxes. Again, this is not your part. You need to CPA. Okay, there you go. We got some good students here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, and then of course, prepare the comprehensive financial documentation to present to potential buyers. Okay. There's more on the list if you represent the sellers versus the buyers. Plan for the transition of hotel management and staff, if applicable, to ensure a smooth changeover for the new owner. So if you work with experienced hotel owners, that's a different story. Find yourself some experienced investors to work with, and it'll make your job easier. Okay, I'm just kidding, but not really. If you work with like a first-time hotel seller or first-time hotel buyer, again, just like the residential side, there's going to be a lot of hand-holding, okay, and then babysit sometimes. Regular updates keep sellers informed about offers, negotiations, and any issues that arise during the sale process. So by understanding these specific elements related to hotel transactions, a commercial agent can effectively guide both buyers and sellers through the complex process of buying or selling a hotel property. You gonna do hotels after this? Any questions before we move on? I know it's a lot of information. Your brain's probably fried by now. Any questions? Yes.
Do you use a third-party company that helps you with visibility, due diligence, providing your comps numbers to make sure that this is a great investment?
I don't.
So you do it all?
Yes. Yes, I do it all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
I did see that you are suggesting to do some analysis. Do you have any tools that you are using to, or the websites?
Yeah, so with the eXp Commercial, they do provide tools for, commercial agents like us. But outside of that, we also have different tools that we subscribe on our own. So when it comes to commercial, there's so many different tools out there, not just like residential where you use CRM or KB Core, with commercial, sometimes you have to use 5, 7, 9, 10 different tools. And everything that costs money. So yes, there's a lot of tools out there. It depends on what you're focusing on. And so sometimes one tool may work for that certain person, but may not work for other person.
Any suggestion of a list of tools that you have?
Yeah, so a lot of commercial agents are using CoStar, okay, or Crexi Pro. A lot of them are using LoopNet. I'm not a fan of LoopNet because everybody have access to it. My favorite is Crexi Pro. Okay, so that way I can run a lot of different analysis, but you got to understand the basic, the back end first before you can ask them what to run, right? So that's why if you're new in commercial, you always need to partner with an experienced commercial agent to walk you through at least for the first several transactions. Okay. Yes. Any other questions before we move on? You all good? Okay,
What
great.
about
Yes.
the inspection? Do you do interior inspections like foundation, everything, room by room?
So, okay. So when it comes to commercial in general, right, we have third parties similar to residential. We also have inspection, we also have appraisers, we also have all those resources. But when it comes to that, then we have to send it out to someone. So when it comes to commercial, and I'm sure Davis can confirm this with me, like each inspector have their own niche. So, with residential inspector, anyone that's, licensed in residential inspector can go in and inspect anything because it's basically 1 to 4, right? But when it comes to commercial, sometimes they have to hire even an appraiser environmental, the bank is hiring, they have to specialize in that one type of commercial. Let's say if it's land, the inspector or the appraiser, environmental, whatever, has to be specialized in land and locally in that area because they won't know what to depend on, if they're using versus here in Plano versus in DeSoto, for example, right? Same thing as inspector. They have to be specialized in one thing or they specialize in industrial, hotel, retail, etc. So when it comes to resources for commercial, you need to have a wider connection in your network because, like I said, if you do a hotel, you're gonna need someone that specializes in hotel. If you do an industrial, that person has to be specialized in. So you see, 1 to 4 residential. I mean, that's it. With hotels, just the categories by itself. There's about 6 or 8. That's just a category, and then they're subcategorized, right? So when we talk about hospitality, there's hotels, there's motels, there's resorts, there's restaurants. You see what I mean? So it's more complicated. That's why you need the specialized people involved because that's when you get the most beneficial and more accurate information. Did that answer the question? Yes.
So as far as the inventory,
Uh-huh.
who do you trust the hotel owner inventory or do you hire somebody to do the inventory or your client is responsible to do the inventory?
Are you talking about representing buyer or seller?
Representing buyer.
Representing buyer.
Or even seller, do you have to disclose the inventory or you wait until you get an offer?
Okay, so in general, when it comes to commercial, okay, and whether the commercial property is listed or off market, most of the commercial investors like to deal with off market properties, okay? When it comes to commercial, you're gonna be running into a lot of off market opportunities because especially when there's tenants there at the property itself, that is not the owner occupy, the owner do not want to disrupt the tenants, okay? So a lot of times they wanted to handle off market, even if they sign the listing agreement with you, but on residential, say listed on MLS or not MLS, most of the time it would not be on listing, okay? So how it works is, so this is coming to the transactional process. So usually for off-market deals, you can create a flyer and have just some information, the city, the state, and then just a brief, highlights, right? You do not put the property address on there. You do not put any financial information on there. Sometimes the seller don't even put the listing price on there, okay? Then you blast it out, you share it to your clients. If you have an interested client and they want to get more information, then that's when they sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. When it comes to commercial, you're not going to be dealing a lot with offers. You're going to be dealing a lot with LOI, letter of intent, because commercial people don't have time to negotiate on the contract itself. So everything is kind of pre-negotiate, a preliminary offer, and that's under LOI, okay? So it depends on if it's an off-market or on listing, on market, then that's how you do it. And then once you send it over, most of the time the off-market sellers will not release any financial information, and your buyer has to get all that during the due diligence period, okay? And the seller will say, well, they can get all that during the due diligence period, okay? So that's what they do, is once you put an LI in, you should show the proof of funds or the bank's, approval letter, similar to the residential side, then they will release information, some information, and then the rest will be released during the due diligence period. That's how commercial usually works. Yes.
So, because it's a business and property, when you buy a hotel from the business,
Mhm.
when you evaluate the price, do you separate how the business is running and how much the properties are
Both
separate?
together.
I mean, so separate first and then put together, or?
I usually do together. Because for me personally, the hotel is just a building itself when there's no business. So, and the business is not gonna run without the real estate side, right? So usually for me in general, for commercial, I run the analysis together if it's owner occupied. But if it's not owner occupied, then that's when I do them separate. So let's say, for instance, and retail, right? The owner may own the property, but they have tenants. Then that's when I do the lease comps for them. Because the seller could be like, okay, well, my property worth this, and I have long-term tenants or anchor tenants that sign 20, 40, 50 years. That's different from someone who just come in and maybe just sign 1 or 2 years, right? So that's the values. And then as the buyer side, when you guys come in, you also need to know the lease comps, because the building, like when we work on one building right now, the real estate itself may cost $1 million without tenants. But if there's tenants, there's income generating, the building is now worth 1.8 or 2 or even more, right? Same thing with gas station. If it's just real estate by itself, and most of the time, gas station, if it's just the property, is actually cost less than the business itself. Because if it's gas station and there's no convenience store, there's no gas, I mean, it's just a dead building, right? So I used to close 5 to 10 gas stations every single month when I was in title. So I know how that works. And so if it's just a dead, gas station, it's no value. But it has an operation business there, it bumps up the value up like 3 times. So it depends. But for hotel, usually you have to do like both, because if the hotel, there's no business, then now it's just not considered a hotel. Now it's just considered as a distressed commercial building, okay? Which is a good for investors to come in and convert into different things like, maybe a big bank out there, or multifamily, or again, go back as a hotel, but flag it or whatever.
So before you said earlier, you said establish the bank
Mhm.
for the price, right? But the bank is not gonna be involved until you have a contract.
It depends on who your connection is. Yeah. You got a good connection with the bank, they'll do all that work for you, right?
Make an offer.
Yes, because usually I don't just send them any deals to run the analysis. Unless I see that that deal is a really good deal for my clients with a high potential of putting it in as a contract, then my bank will be like, oh yeah, let me run this for you, okay? So that's why you leverage the bank for the commercial deals. Some banks may not do that. A lot of banks were like, well, I don't even want to talk to you until you put in the contract, right? But some will be like, yeah, let me run it for you real quick. And they may not give you the term sheet right away, but at least they can run by the bank perspective, okay, how much we're looking at this property as, with and without the business, right? So just depends on your contact. Davis, do you do that? Okay, come up here. So now we talk about commercial loans, right? Commercial lenders. I'm going to bring an expert up, and this is Davis Wong. He is with First United Bank, and thank you for allowing us to do our class here today in this beautiful facility.
Anytime. And Cindy is always doing the presentations so well that I have nothing to say. So she's really on and everything. So actually, I changed gear a little bit, and the thing is, I may be able to answer some of your questions because For the banks, basically, I'll leave it to the end. Otherwise, I mean, you will be getting bored very soon. So anyway. All right. Actually, we always partner with Cindy and also Charlie of Titan Title Company. So we are one team. Okay, so I mean, what can we do in this bank? I will fly you through because I noticed that some of you may seen these presentations before. We are 16 billions in asset. We can do loans up to 200 millions. Very great. And we do both convention and SBA and deposit account. We do all these checking, savings, CDs, and treasury management. Means it's a full services bank. Okay. CNI, we do a lot of CNI. CNI means a lot of things with commercial real estate and the business per se. So we call it CNI and those details. And owner occupied, including office warehouse and hotel and consumer lending. We do, mortgage loans and everything as well. So I don't spend too much time, and then we will spend a little bit more time when towards the end. So loan example, we've done some loans which is like concrete company and HVAC. Those it's a little bit different. Those are the CNI deals that we're doing, and some other loans like for church and trampoline parks and different LTVs. And if a lot of the time. Any property, if we occupy more than 50%, we call it owner occupied. Otherwise, we call it investment properties. So investment property normally is the LTV is 70%. This spec building. Spec building, what is that like? Flex warehouse, and we call it spec building construction. We will do 65% LTV or LTC. It depends on the guidelines. Depends on what we are trying to do, and we'll do some analysis on those things as well. So commercial loans, and normally that's what the requirement that we need, like personal guarantee, establish deposit relationship, and other collateral, which means sometimes we can cross-collateralize. For example, we have one piece of property, let's say 1 million, but the thing is for us, it's a little bit too thin. So, by the way, I have another property, free and clear, 500,000. Okay, let's cross-collateralize on those buildings so that we can make it happen. Okay, I'll explain to you why do we do that. So, repayment ability with the hotel and motel. Possibly, the first lines of defense for payment is okay. How do we get paid? That's all we care as well. Okay. Take for example, does your hotel or motel make money? Because the least things, the last things that the bank doesn't do is we don't run a hotel, okay? We don't run restaurant. We have no expertise. So therefore, we just look at the financials. Does the hotel make money? If it doesn't make money, and then we will ask Mr. or Mrs. Customer, why do you invest on that? Serious, right? Because you will have a fire back very soon. Okay, you sold the deal, we have the loans, you have your fees, and later on, the customer will come back to you, great, I'm gonna freaking do something to you. That's not good, right? Because we are here in the long haul to do business and establish relationships. So secondary source of repayment is okay. Other than the hotel per se, what other income that you can bring it to the table? Now we are talking about the other very important factor. Okay, the first is how do we get paid? The second is the risk, which means okay, if it doesn't perform, do you have money sitting in other business? Do you have any other incomes? We care because things happen like COVID. Great, no one is going to the hotel. How do we get paid? Now, we have a problem, and of course, we've done the PPP. Anyone knows what's PPP? Good. So the bank will get paid, and you get paid. But eventually, the PPP is just like a life support, short time, and then they will get off. So sometimes we're looking at, third source of a repayment, repayment. Okay, what other liquidity that you may have? Okay, how much do you have sitting in your account? $1 versus $1 million? It means the cut, right? That's very vanilla. So when we talk to the client, we're talking about marketing now. When we talk to the clients, the more you know, the better off. So that you know that, okay, what is coming up, what I can be able to tackle in the future, rather than, okay, yeah, it's making money, great. What if? Now, the bank is always thinking about what if. That sometimes it's good or bad because we don't want to keep the hotel for ourselves because we don't need it. Now we're talking about the character. Sometimes we call it 3C or 4C character, which means okay, are you the clients that you are intending to pay? You have a good attitude in paying people. Oh yeah, I don't have any debt because I just filed bankruptcy yesterday. Great. Done. So versus, okay, what kind of experience that you have in this industry? Okay, that's very important too because we connect with people that they know how to do the business. Means they're seasoned investor. They are seasoned towards what they are doing. Okay, and credit. Okay, the credit of the borrowers. Either both. Sometimes. With the company per se, that's one, and then your personal. It tells you something that okay, this will be a good customer to work with, and more important is the relationship with the bank, because if you have a relationship with the bank, that we want to do business with you, versus that okay, he or she popped up from nowhere, okay. We are trying to call the next day, he or she disappeared. Great. No, we don't want to deal with it. So quality, okay, quality of the commercial real estate. Now we're talking about the hotel. Okay. Short while ago, I noticed that Cindy was talking about, okay, it's a franchise. Okay. Franchise is always preferred because you have certain quality and management and marketing, but the one that I am a solo, it will be very tough, okay? Because I'm very frugal, so therefore I'm trying to sweep the floor myself. And guess what? I do the job of let's say $8.25, but the thing is I should have get paid $800 per hour, not $8.25, right? So that you can be frugal, but the thing is, you have to use people to the best of their strength. All right, location. Okay, so where is the locations of your motel? Middle of nowhere, great. Okay, how do you capture your traffic? A lot of the time, you all may have experienced that. Sometimes, middle of nowhere, they have a hotel. Golly, this hotel cost me $150. I can have a very decent hotel around the corner. Yes, because they are the only one. And the service is just like, oh, great. No. But a lot of time we go into the college town a couple of years ago. That's the hotel that you have, and you're coming here for first day of the school or pick up your kids, and this is the place, a hotel motel that you can go. So you have nowhere to go, and sometimes it's very good. Okay, so historical occupancy ratio or cash flow. Okay, this is the meat of what we are doing. Okay. How do we get paid? So in other words, we have to look at your historical income. How much you really bring it to the table. Of course, we're talking about the EBITDA. I'm sure that you know, right? If you don't know, that's fine. You will hear a lot. Okay, so your net income after all the expenses, okay, and tax and insurance, okay, that's the things that we will calculate. Okay. You said that, okay, have a sales revenue of 5 million, but okay, what about your net income? 100,000. And then we can see that, okay, these things will not fly because you don't report exactly what it is, or you're trying to, okay, expenses out everything. Okay, good, but you can explain to us how do you expenses out. Sometimes it's for a year, we have a lot of capital investment, major improvement, and so forth. Yes, we got it, we understand. But if consistently you're making money, but we are drying up. So therefore, I mean, for the bank, it's a high risk. So we may not want to, I mean, to join your party this time. So, all right. So in other words, the occupancy ratio, it will tell you how much you bring on it, and then your cash flow. Those are the things that, I mean, we really care. Okay, value of the subject property. So a short while ago, we were asking about it, and actually, I mean, we will do the appraisal. Appraisal, I mean, it can be income approach, it can be market approach. So it really depends on, I mean, on field quality of the property. So of course, I mean, if the quality of the subject property means the hotel is great, it will make the cut. Last, down payment. Okay, you will be wondering, hey, didn't you say that short while ago you said that 70% loan to value? Yes and no. Why? Okay, so you remember that a short while ago I was talking about the net income. Okay, your sales revenue is 5 million, but your net income is only 100,000. You know that, okay, this will not cash flow because you take all the money for your distributions. So how do you pay me? Okay, what about next year? Yeah, I'm making money. Okay, okay, go talk to your CPA. We don't want to dance around with these things too much because it will tell you if we do not have sufficient net income. So therefore, we will say that okay, this is not a good deal. So now we used to ask for 30% down payment. Now we have to put 70% down payment. Why? Because you have only $100,000 net income. So I'm sorry. We normally don't say sorry because serious. I give you money. I say sorry. Come on, this is not gonna make the cut. Okay,
Sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. The thing is, I mean, if we don't get paid, I mean, that's a huge liability. And then we have to follow through every year and chasing after you the financial and those things. It's just not fun as a portfolio manager. So you know what I'm saying. Okay, any other questions so far? Because, I don't want to go too far away because, this is very important. No? Okay, when are you going to buy a hotel for your clients? Oh, yes, sir.
Do you do land loans?
Yes, we do. Yeah, if you want to know the LTV, you have to put down 35%. But remember that land loan, what is the character of the land loan? It's an alligator sitting and eating. What does that mean? How do we get paid? The land does not produce income except, I mean some lands that they do. So in other words, okay, where is the cash to pay for it? And obviously we're looking for secondary and then third. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So short while ago we were talking about okay, how do we define that the land and the third is good? Okay, a lot of the time. Loans like this normally over 1 million. Okay, phase one environmental straight. Okay, if it were a little bit higher, couple of million, 10 million, phase two environmental. We don't have to think, go straight. Okay, two things: appraisal and environmental. Most likely, phase one and phase two will be more appropriate. Questions? I love questions. I teach Sunday schools, so I always ask people questions. So therefore, next week they don't come. So why didn't you come? You asked too many questions. Okay, so why land with us? Okay, service. I mean, we have the whole team here, including market president, underwriting teams in these locations. So downstairs is the retail, and go to the other side is my spots, commercial. We have the whole teams here to serve you, which means, I mean, it's very quick. Okay, quick analysis and decision making. Below 5 million, we can make the decisions here. Over 5 million, we need to go to the committee. Okay, but anyway, we have a weekly committee meeting, so it's still very quick. Okay, very quick closing and very competitive, great and honest, and that's what we stand for. Okay, those are the deposits. So I think we're running a promotions right now. Is even better on money market account. Okay, treasury services. Okay, so I talked about it before, so I'm trying to fly through. Okay, in this building, there's composed of a few different businesses. So ground floor, retail and commercial. Second floor are mortgages. We do a lot of mortgages in these buildings. And wealth management as well as insurance. Insurance, we're talking about commercial insurance. Okay. Okay, this is my boss, Justin. This is myself. If you want to capture my QR code and contact me anytime, and I'm always available for you guys. Any questions? I just love Cindy. She's always smiling.
If someone cleared bankruptcy a few years ago, can he or she
I make sure that you get all the credit bureau. Normally it's after 7 years. Yeah. Yes.
I heard that even after 7 years, if banker knows the someone who had the bankruptcy before 7 years,
Don't tell me something I don't want to hear.
right?
Well, that's a line that we don't. Okay, just like okay, we don't normally ask people. That's just disclosure. Okay. When was the last time you filed bankruptcy? We don't ask these questions, right? You just ensure that any things that you want us to know about your credit, that's not because that's a rugby. We have to be very careful when we ask questions. So.
Select a hearing.
Any other questions? Do you want me to ask you questions? Who said yes? You? Oh, yes.
So how do you calculate to qualify let's say, a nonprofit organization like church? They don't have profits, and their accounts or their finances is practically at the end is 0, 0.
Yes and no, and for church or churches, and they do have the financials, okay, which means that's a little bit off topic, but that's okay. We look at the offerings, units as well as the income, okay. Now, obviously, church or churches, they are paying rent, so we're going to use the rent to offset to buy the buildings. So that's what we do. We look at the financials, the P&L and balance sheets. They are not obligated to file tax returns because I've done some churches before. So I know exactly what you're driving at. Yes, they do have the income. So the income is the offerings that they will be able to support. And of course, we have to calculate to the point that, okay, are they over an extent? And the least things that you want, if anyone knows, is to force closure a church in Texas. It's very bad. So therefore, a lot of the banks, I used to work for a bank called Wachovia. They don't do churches loan because they get burned before. Serious. So it's not fun. To force close a hotel is much better. Because you're okay, our church and churches, oh no, that's not good. You want me to ask you questions? Oh, great.
Do you like working capital?
Working capital, how do I get paid? Yeah, okay, good. Business income or personal income? Now, if it is business working capital, we're looking at the business, right? And of course, I mean, you cannot be too off. Okay, I'm just a startup. You just get started like 1 or 2 years, which means you can see that the financial is not there. So therefore, okay, and then we will see, okay, what collateral that we can have. Sometimes we do not, right? And sometimes we do. If we have collateral, yes, we can do it, such as, okay, inventory or accounts receivable. Those are things that we can hold on to it, or some fixed assets, okay, like the building, the sheetrock, okay, or some equipment. Those are the things that if we can put collaterals on it, our bank will do it. And of course, I mean, if we have only negative income, is not a word. Even though, oh, yeah, I have a lot of income myself, okay? We have to justify to see, okay, few factors that I just mentioned, okay, what collateral that we have, and we know that the business is not gonna fly, but my personal income is doing very good. Okay? Then we will be able to try to help them to bridge the gap. Any other questions? Okay, now I have questions. I have my colleague here, Greg. He's the mortgage guy for our bank here. So maybe you can pitch in for a couple of words. Don't go too long.
No, don't worry. You caught me by surprise. I appreciate it. My name is Greg Heiner. Thank you. Nice to meet some of you. I'm looking forward to meeting more of you later. I am the residential mortgage loan officer here in the office downstairs. So if you ever need anything, you need to pop in. I'd love to meet clients face to face. I've been in this 20 years. Before I got back into the sales side, I was with K&A for 10 years. So I've done the roller coaster, and I learned to appreciate it. But if you guys ever need anything from me, I'm gonna leave my card out here on the table. I'd love to get together with you.
Thank you for talking time.
Thank you, Davis. Okay, I'm just gonna share with you a quick sample of a hotel purchase agreement. And also, you know, just another thing in commercial, you don't hear a lot of word contract in the beginning. Is PSA, like, okay, so purchase agreement. So here's just a sample of it, what it looked like. Again, normally we don't use the TAR or NACCAR form for hotels. It's drafted by the attorney. So these are just an example of some of the information that will be on there. I'm just gonna go through real quick. Each attorney has their own way of drafting the contract or the PSA. So again, you know, that's just what it looks like. So of course, you know, one of our special guest speaker, he loved me so much. He flew in from Denver, Colorado this morning on a 5 a.m. flight. He's like a brother to me, and you know, him and his family has been in the hotel industry for so long. And so I invited him to our class today. He's going to share with you guys how is it like to be a hotel owner. Okay, please help me give a warm welcome to Jason Trump. And he's flying back tonight. I tried to be like him last time, and it doesn't fly well.
All right. Well, thank you, Cindy, for inviting me to this event, and I appreciate to be here in front of everybody. So she told me to talk about hotels. So our family been in the hotel industry for a while now, almost 2 decades. So here's our presentation a little bit, but I might not even follow the slide because the slide's a little bit just a presentation. So our family, we started before the hotels. We've done a lot of businesses. We did donut shop. We did gas station, we did laundromat, we did cleaning, we did all that stuff. And then one day, and then my dad, he did landscaping. And then one day what happened was that he was mowing a lawn for a small motel. He worked there really, really long, day in and day out. The owner of the hotel was like, man, and my dad's name is Kai. He's like, Kai, you work so hard. You should look into hotel industry. He's like, how would I even get in? Don't you need a lot of money? He's like, I will show you the way. So this guy, he's Indian. He showed my dad, well, you work hard enough and you come here, you do maintenance at the hotel. I'll show you how to get in. Finally, we find a hotel that was only $500,000. Only because back then it didn't feel like it was only $500,000. It was a lot of money. So my dad saved up and then he collateralized his house, down payment into this hotel in a very ghetto shop area. So, so I don't know how it's like in Dallas or in Texas here, but in Denver, there's this street. It's called Colfax. It's known for a lot of prostitution. It's known for drugs. It's known for a lot of stuff. But our family, we started in this hotel. I helped them out. We got called into the police station. It's like, you need to put a gate on this hotel or else there's drugs addicts here. So we put in the gate. We dealt with police every week. So I got to know police officers really well. So we were there day in and day out, but finally the economy picked up. We sold the hotel, we made a lot of money, we move on to our next one. Pay off our house, we move on. As the economy picked up, and in Denver, the nice thing about hotels is that it ramped up in value really quick. Between, I don't know, 10, 20 years, you could buy a hotel for $500,000 within 3 or 4 years. It was worth 1.2 or like, and then we moved on. We sold that one, we bought 2 hotels. And of course, my dad was still doing landscaping to continue the cash flow. And as we built our portfolio, we bought more hotels and then we got into franchising. But what made us different? I mean, not really different. You talk to a lot of Indian hotel owners, they have the same stories. So when we come into the franchise world of hotels, we meet more people that's like us. We met a lot of Indian families that did the same thing. We ground the front desk, we work everything. So then we start developing and then we start to learn through franchising how to partner and how to hire people, how to let go. Because one of the franchise, when we first start franchising, one of the, what they call it, a director of, area director is what they call them. They come out and they kind of coach you how to run a franchise. And that's the nice thing about franchising, is that they have resources. So one thing that they told us is that you have to be less of an owner because you could, so then you have to hire more people. Yes, it costs more, but it take away your personal, like you get offensive too much, too fast when you're running the front desk yourself. If someone come into the hotel and they complain about your room, if you're too personally attached, you tend to give them bad customer service, or there's tendency that you take it too personal. So franchising help you kind of separate that out. But because of that, you're also able to open up your eyes to figure out the macro management side of the hotel versus just day-to-day looking at the micromanagement. And then as you develop into the franchising world, they would teach you, you need to come up with vision, directions that your company wants to go. So as we developed in the last 2 decades in hotels, we came up with our vision and our visions and our core values. We see that we like to have a relationship with our employees, because what we believe is that when you have a relationship with your employees, they would tend to treat your customer better and they would tend to come back. But not just that, is that when you work with your employees and you have that relationship with them, they care for you. When you're talking about turnover in the hotel industry or in any industry, you know that there is a lot of turnover. Sometimes paying them more is not the solution. If you have that relationship with them, sometimes you could pay the minimum wage and they still be loyal to you and your company. So, for example, I have a story. So I have an employee, she still works for us now. Her name is Danette. We had a hotel in the mountain. So what happens that, she was making minimum wage, a little bit more. She's a manager, but she did not make enough money. Her husband was unemployed. So she had to pay college tuition for her kids. What we did is that we helped her about $20,000 or something like that. I don't remember, over the course of 2 years. Our company, paid for her daughter's tuition. So she felt really appreciative of that with us. And her daughter became a dental hygienist now. And we got invited to her wedding and all that stuff. We became really family oriented and we have helped our employees. And in that perspective, she became really loyal to our family and our businesses. Now, if I say, hey, Danette, I want you to look at this hotel, order the supplies, figure out how we can franchise, she'd be right on it. Even though right now she's still making a decent amount of money, but it doesn't mean that she does not want to leave our relationship because she knows that we have helped her when it's hard, and she'll be there for us, and she knows that we'll be there for them. I also have another employee I'd like to share. His name is John. He's now 95, retired, but he worked with us for, I think it was like 84. That's how long he worked with us. But the only reason why we stopped working together was because of COVID and the hotel shut down for a while, and that's why he stopped working with us. But I still visit him at his nursing home or assisted living. Whenever we meet, he really appreciates that we come and we remember him, because at the age of 93, he's like, you don't see your friends, your brother, your sister anymore. The people that really think of you are your true friends. So that's our words that he told me. It mean a lot. And that's how our company, we feel like, for our vision and our company, we feel like connection and building the relationship with our employees, because then we know that they would take care of our guests. In the hotel industry, when you work in the hotel or you're franchising, they don't want you to call customers. They train you to call them guests, because you have to treat them with guests with respect, with the hospitality mindset, or else they won't be loyal to your hotels or your brand. So operating hotels, it can be hard, it can be easy, but franchising with many brands, what we have here is that we have hotels, we have Marriott, don't call it Marriott, it's Marriott, right? So Marriott, we work with Hilton, Hyatt, Choice, Sonesta, Wyndham, and Best Western. Those are all the brands that we have operate and we have owned. We still own, we're trying to build a couple hotels. Hotel's great in the sense that you're building cash flow, you're building that little NOI, your portfolio. Because when you build that portfolio, banks are easier to lend because you have more hotel portfolio, you have records, and you have cash flow. And that's when they start lending to you. You build a relationship and all that stuff. So these are the hotels that we've been in. We have partners in some of them, and a lot of them lately we've been separating our partners, so we're building our own portfolio. We own a couple ourselves, or 100% owner in a lot of our hotels now. I think, and now we're moving into operation. We're starting to move into development. Hotel operation is great. You build yourself a good foundation. You build yourself a good management team. You let it run by yourself, and then you can focus on development and growing other aspects in the hotel industry. Development makes a lot more money than just owning and operating hotel. If you own and operate hotels, you probably cash flow at the highest, it's about 30 to 35%. You're really lucky on the NOI. But when you start developing and you start to construct hotel, you probably can push that up a lot more. You can buy a piece of land, build a couple of $1 million, stabilize it, and you probably can sell it for, I don't know, a lot, 50 to 60%. One of our biggest deals right now is that we bought this hotel for $8 million. We converted to a Baymont, and because it's in the mountain, it's where the ski resorts are. We refinanced it, we partnered to a bigger group right now, and we made it into a Marriott. Cost us about, we sold it into a partnership about $14-15 million, and now putting in another $10-12 million into the renovation, we won't sell it any less than $45 million. That's a conversion numbers for you. So about $20 million profit is the plan in that deal. So that's why we started shifting our plan, letting the management of the hotel continue to manage any deals that if anyone need a management company or something like that, we're willing to guide them to management, but management is one aspect of it, but then if you develop it, is probably a lot of where a lot of Indian owners I know that once they go to the 20 hotels mark, they seem to only do development because they see that there's a lot more potential on that side. But if you guys are starting, I think we started small. Started with a $500,000 hotel. Now we're trying to sell a $45 million hotel. So that's where we've been focusing a lot of our times, and that's where this side talked about. We see that there's wealth on the ground. We're not talking about the ground itself, but as you develop on the ground, we see that there's a lot of potential. Of course, like any other business, is where you is what you can make out of it, what you can envision out of that property to make it worth something or not. The construction experience we started in construction just recently, but because we partner with big construction companies that have a lot of experience in what they do. So the construction companies that we work with, they do anything between business park to multifamily to hotels, of course. And then we kind of diverged because of COVID. We added another branch. We've been doing medical. So hotels are one of our stuff. I'm here to talk about hotels. I'm not here to talk about medical, but we've also been doing medical businesses as well. I think, I kind of rushed through that. I talk quite fast when I'm in a big group setting, but this time I like to push it to, I don't know, I don't think you guys have questions for me, right? It's just a bunch of my experience of what I've been doing. We did a lot of just many years in the hotel industry, but not then a friend you have a question for me.
So what does the cash flow look like for this hotel? I know it's different depending on the size of the hotel, I guess from like this Whistler into like one of the big ones.
So the cash flow, I mean, it's really dependent on you, how you operate. So let's say if you're doing a big Best Western, different room size have their different limitations. So if you're doing a Best Western, that's 40 rooms, for example. First, Best Western probably don't do 40 rooms. I don't, anyways. But let's say they do give you a 40-room hotel, you have a max amount of room. I'm pretty sure Vanessa would talk to you about room, bars, and how you calculate the maximum amount a hotel can make. So if you have a maximum of 40-room hotels and you average about $50 room night per room, you can make only up to $900,000. I'm pulling that number out of my head, but it's roughly around there if you hit the greatest thing. But let's say you have another hotel that's 100 rooms, it's really capped off with the amount of rooms that you have. The branding itself is bringing loyalties, bringing in recognition to your hotel. So sometimes it helps with increasing your room rate. So if you're going to stay in a Super 8, for example, you know that you're not going to pay, I don't know, what's the rate now, $40, $30 a night, versus if you're going to stay in a Best Western where you're going to pay a little bit more for that. So all the brands in the hotel industry will coach you if you pay for the extra service that they have. It's called revenue management, but they coach you what to increase your rate to. So the branding helps you with recognition, room rates is what it is, if that makes sense. But room size is really allowing you to cap your gross income. So we got capped because as a Baymont, which is a economy hotel, we can only rent out our hotels at a maximum of like $120 a night in the summertime. And we can't go to the $700 room rate like the Holiday Inn. So that's some of the limitation of that. Does that answer your question?
No, so,
A little bit, right? I mean, was there any specific that you want to ask about that?
No, I was just curious, like, what it look like, I guess from your experience, like, what numbers you've seen, like, with different hotels throughout the years, what's cash flow?
My experience with the hotel, like branding wise, or what in
Like,
what?
it could be a brand, or like, let's say you own this franchise, you say, okay, I cash flow this X amount, per year, or this one, or something like that.
Okay, so I don't really understand the question. Maybe you
Like,
can
for
rephrase.
example, you said Bayma, like, with Bayma, like, with that particular hotel, like, cash flow this much this year, or just rough numbers.
So for hotels, for hotels with branding, it's based on location.
Okay.
For me, if you go into a hotel in the middle of nowhere, it's most likely a trucking business kind of hotel. So I choose a brand that will probably focus on the trucking business. If I go to a tourist town, I would like something that is a little bit more upper mid-scale, where it's going to be good for the travelers, it's good for business, it's good for family reunion, whatever that is. So like say in the mountain, right? I choose, in the beginning, I choose Baymont because they gave me a heck of a deal and I was trying to figure it out. But when I worked there a couple of years, I tapped out. I want to go to Marriott because I can now capture the upper, it's a ski town, so you have a lot of rich people that go skiing. So you want to capture those people, and they tend to stay at Marriott. So that's why we wanted to go to Marriott. But let's say I'm in a military base area, I can choose a Sonesta, I can choose Choice, I can choose a brand that can drive this business to me. So branding is really, for me, as an owner, and as many owners, not to be offensive to it, Sonesta or anything, is that many owners choose branding based on the deal they give you, royalty fees, whatever it is, or the market. That's why most brand has a lot of scale. They have, if you look at one hotel chain, they have a lot of brands. They can have something really high end or something really low end, so that they help you capture those markets. Does that make sense?
What is a good occupancy rate for you? And also, do you look for potential if the occupancy rate is not?
So it depends on how many room count you have. Are you talking about 30% of 100 rooms or 30% of 200 rooms? Hotels is totally different. So in the hotel industry, they calculate something called the RevPAR, which is a combination of percentage and room rate. And that's how you calculate your income. If you have too many rooms and your hotel is in a college town and you can't use all that rooms, most people will convert the other amount of rooms into something else. Because if you have 200 rooms and you can't fill 200 rooms, why have 200 rooms? So like, that's why the brand come up with something called extended stay. So then you can convert some of those to something called, it's almost like an apartment, but converting to extended stay helps the zoning of the property. And they allow you to get away with city codes. We tried to convert a hotel from a hotel to an apartment, city would not allow that. Because they're losing we assume they're losing their tax money. But you convert it to an extended stay hotel, then you can get away with that. So, but you still have to keep a component of the hotel in there, so that way they won't come back after you and say, why are you doing that? So we're actually looking at a project now in New Mexico Well, we're trying to think an extended stay. It's a 200-room hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Who will stay in a 200-room hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico? So we say that, well, like convert part of this to an extended stay and the rest like do a hotel. So then that way we can maximize the property, maximize income, and of course, maximize net profit. Because on the extended stay, you don't have to pay tax, lodging tax. I think that's all I have, right? Yeah, I don't know how much time I have, but
How hands-on did you have to be able to get into the hotel business?
everything.
Everything?
Everything from making sheets, from folding towels, doing laundries, cleaning the rooms, doing the front desk, staying night audits, everything.
Fixing air conditioners.
Yeah, well, with my hands, I have an employee who makes fun of my hands. I did not do that. My dad did. So, but yeah, he called my hands curly. So I was like, that's why I have you. So anyways, I think it's time for Dallas. And then if anyone have more questions, you can catch me later.
Thank you, Jason. So speaking of the branding and the franchise, that's why we have one of our friends here. And what I like about Sonesta is they can customize. Okay, so they have kind of different products for every owner. Okay, so I'm gonna let him share all the perks and all the what they can provide as a franchisor. Please help me welcome Dallas. Yes, he's from Dallas. His name is Dallas too. With Sonesta.
Thank you, Cindy. I placed one of these cards on the table in front of everybody. The important thing is on the back is a QR code. I do have some brand brochures, but I didn't have enough for everybody. So if you scan this and you can send me your contact information, I can send you any information that I talk about on my presentation here. Or am I just hitting return? Oh, there it is. And I got a cheat sheet because I was paying attention to all the presentations and kind of made some notes on things I really wanted to hit on. Because Cindy really covered a lot of what I was going to kind of talk about. Is, Sonesta kind of came out of nowhere. We always say we're an 80-year-old startup. It's a family company started in Boston area in 1937. At one time, they owned the Plaza in New York City. So it's been off the radar for years. If anybody's gone to New Orleans, you've probably heard the Royal Sonesta in New Orleans. It's been there for 56 years, a lot of history. So until about 2012, there were 20, 30 properties, high-end luxury resorts in 7 countries. We got cruise lines in Egypt, properties in Egypt. And I go into this because the detail that we have, I have everything from economy to upper upscale. So in 2012, there was a company out there that makes us different too, Service Properties Trust, svcreit.com. They're the largest owner of hotels in the US. So we're different than other franchisors, because we have skin in the game. We look through an owner's lens. A lot of other big brands, Marriott, Choice, Wyndham, they just franchise. It's your client's money, and that's all the money they make. So when we look at what should a room have, the quality standards, those types of things, we have to do those as well. So we really looked through it more diligently and just throwing stuff out there. There's a term that came up in the hotel business years ago called the amenity creep. And someone trying to look for secondary revenue in these corporate offices say, well, everybody has to have the curtain shower, curtain rod in the bathroom. And that's cool, that's good. Then they had to have this. Then they had to have this. The next thing you know, somebody comes up and goes, hey, every 6 years, we're going to make a redo the whole room. So they look for stuff like that in the back. Plus, you have to get your orange juice from this vendor, you have to do this and that. So a lot of the brands, and we have some mandated vendors, but not to the extent. Some of these brands make millions of dollars on the back end, on little fees, and in the back end from where they get paid for their vendors. So it started in 37. In 2012, Service Properties Trust, who's the largest owner of hotels in the US, Marriott's, Radisson's, IHG properties. After 2008, 9, and 10 with the recession, they said, we're not going to go through that again. Marriott So the property, the Marriott properties, they own Marriott managed, the IHG properties, like the Holiday Inn Expresses, Candlewoods, that they own, the IHG manage those. And there's performance clauses on the back end of the management contract. So they weren't paying Service Properties Trust these payments. And so we're not gonna go through that again. So they had a connection with the Sonovan family, out of Boston that started Sonesta in 1937. A lot of people think it's a Latin American name. It's not. It's Sonny and Esther. Nobody says Esther in Boston, right? They say Esta. So they put Sonesta together. So so until then, it was 100% family owned. So the REIT in 2012 put in the third of the company. Families still owns 2/3. I didn't introduce Michael Haney, but he does upper scale brands. And when I go through the brands, I'll show you, and I do the select service economy brands. So our monthly expense reports are still signed off by the granddaughter of the founders. There's a term that we use in the industry called key money, where we help people that do the renovations and so forth in the hotel when they buy it or when they brand with us. She signs off on it. No other company has that. So it's still family owned and operated. So it kind of went along. January of 2020 had 58 hotels. And then here comes again with what happened in 2020, COVID, right? So Service Properties Trust, who owned 1/3 of Sonesta, said, we're not going through this again because Marriott said they're not gonna make the payments IHG. So at that time, there was, what, 300 some properties that Service Properties Trust, the CEO of Service Properties Trust went to Marriott, so we're pulling those. And then what are you gonna do? We're gonna create more Sonesta brands. So we created our own brands that I'll show you in a minute to fold those over into our brands. So it went from 58 hotels to 400, close to 400 in 2020. And then there were connections in the industry that said, hey, you should franchise. And this is a REIT. Their money is made off buying and selling investments. Like, well, how can we make money off franchising? So some franchising people showed them how we can make money not own the asset, where do we sign? So I worked for a company called Redline Hotels. Everybody's probably heard of them. Weird thing is they started in 1937 in Spokane, Washington. Didn't know each other, but it's pretty much similar industry. The family owner, they grew. So in 2021, they bought Redline Hotels just for the franchising platform. Franchising services, franchise development, franchise management, revenue management, all that stuff. And we went from 58 hotels to 1,100, like that. So if you've seen the Sonestas pop up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they were always owned by Service Properties Trust. We just flagged them over to our deal. So now we have a unique venture, unlike any other franchise company. Again, the skin in the game, the family ownership, but we grow on a two-prong approach. The REIT is $5 billion REIT. No, $40 billion REIT with $6 billion in hotel assets, okay? So the person that used to be CEO of Service Properties Trust is now the CEO of Sonesta, and that was strategic, because he goes to Service Properties Trust and say, hey, you need to buy this $160 million resort in Miami Beach. We do the due diligence, they go, okay. And then on my end, where Michael and I do the franchise development, we sell the franchises, we focus on secondary, primary markets, airports, on a different level hotel. Some of our owners will invest that much, but typically most of our growth is mid-scale, upper mid-scale. But we have 13 different brands, anywhere from economy to upper mid-scale. Royal Sonestas, resorts, soft branding's big now. Michael's team does quite a bit of different soft brands. So there's a connection for anybody out there. So I kind of went through this here, but 6.2 billion in hotel managed assets. Again, there's not another company out there that does that. Kind of a dot map that shows our representation. And then here's where we are, our brand bar. So you look at the Royal Sonestas are high-end resorts. We have everything that you bring a client to us. The first thing I do, I've been working with the Indian community for about 25 years. And I say that because they own 90% of the hotels in Texas and about 65% of the hotels in the US. So I have a lot of relationships. And I've always been that I'll help you. I'm not going to put a square peg in a round hole. So if you just want to bring a client to me and say, a lot of things I've heard, I term the market is the market. You're not gonna put a Four Seasons or a Renaissance in, South Oak Cliff or, Markets in the middle of nowhere in I-40. It's just not gonna happen. But you can build a 40-room independent or convert a 40-room independent in those markets, and it'll do very well. So I'll be happy to look at any market, look at any hotel. One of our tools of parameter is called a STAR report, Smith Travel Research. It can pull all the numbers from the hotels in that market from any segment. And I'll pull that for economy segment, upper mid-scale, and I'll look at that and I'll go back to my client, your client, and say, this is where I think it should sit. And then when I'm talking to somebody about a hotel, I know they're talking to 2 or 3 other brands. And one thing Jason said earlier, that a lot of people buy just to get the money on the front end, you gotta look at the big picture. Because our conversion costs, none of our brands have what we call a room in the box. You go out and franchise a Motel 6, a Super 8, a Days Inn, Holiday Express, any of those, and you have to have that bed, that way, that sheet, that headboard, that lamp, and those start at $6,000 to $7,000 a room. You go to other brands and it could be $10,000 to $15,000 a room, depending on a PIP or property improvement plan for that brand. Our PIPs or our quality standards are, life of product, life of mattress 10 years, life of FF&E. So we're a lot more flexible on the front end. Our operating costs are a lot more flexible because, again, keep in mind, we have to adhere to those operating costs too in our own brand. So we're always looking for solutions to not lower the guest experience, but increase the guest experience, increase the revenue, but control costs. If you look, it goes up and down to economy, America's Best Value, and I'm sure people have heard about that brand. That was part of the Red Line acquisition. That's our #1 economy brand. And when you look at Sonesta Essential, that is where a company that's family-owned, operated, a small operation, listens to our guests or people that are coming to us. This brand was created purely out of owners coming to us in a certain segment that we didn't service. And it was probably 8 to 10 times more coming from that segment. So we created Sonesta Essential, which sits like a Hampton Inn, Holiday Express, Fairfield Inn. So that's one thing too about being a smaller family operation, is that we can move pretty fast. We're a lot more flexible, a lot more friendly. We call those the F words in our business. And so here's when we talk about segmentation, it's been kind of brushed on, but not in depth. Again, this is where I go back. The market is the market. You're not going to put a Royal Sonesta in Grand Prairie. It's just not going to work. It's got to be a high-end resort destination. So here's kind of where they fall in. These are segmented by the industry, like Star Travel Research says this level of hotel, like when Cindy was talking about your 1-star, your 2-star, your 3-stars, they fall into these segments. So I have everything in these. Extended stay is the hottest out there now. Economy extended stay is the hottest extended stay. So we have everything to look at that. One thing that we do, a lot of things that we're big on is, I go back to the market is the market. If an owner comes to me with a box that he's buying, hotel, that he's buying, and that box is not maximizing that market, I can go to him and say, you should have half your rooms with kitchenettes to do extended stay. Or there's too many extended stay in this market, and Star Report says it's too low, let's go upper mid-scale or mid-scale. So there's a lot of flexibility with us. The other brands say, this is the box, this is that. Now, again, Marriott's, you're gonna look at it too, and they have certain parameters to put a hotel in a certain place, but we have a lot more flexibility on what to do. Perfect example, like Jason was talking about, the Albuquerque property is 200 rooms. We can look at that and I can pull 100 rooms extended stay, 100 rooms mid-scale, or whatever that mix is. And there's a lot of more of those happening. Everything has a life. Hotels have a life. So, and again, and they kind of, over years, the market kind of will go up, but they're losing their market share. So they need somebody to come in and reinvent the hotel, right, to maximize the market. So I think that's the thing we excel in, is that we have the flexibility in the range of segmentation to look at that. So one thing I always say is, bring a client to me. I have I've been really more active in the broker market these days. I get the hot sheets, I call them, every morning. I get emails from, brokers, hotel brokers that, hey, we had this listing, we had this listing, we had this listing. And I'll respond to them, hey, that listing will match this. I'll talk to your client. Like Cindy said earlier, a lot of brokers will hold that listing to their vest. And I'm very open to that. Is like, hey, if you want me to go to the property, I'll go. I'll go without my Sonesta shirt on. I'll go from an insurance company. I'll go from a design company, or I won't go at all. So a lot of times the brokers won't tell me who their client is, or they'll say don't go there. But there's plenty of, like I can do due diligence online, the star reports, the numbers, and I'll put together, it should be X, it should be here. And again, I keep in mind, there's 2 or 3 other brands saying the same thing. I win some, I lose some, but I always tell people, look at the big picture. Everybody, the key money is, everybody wants the money, but what's gonna happen on the back end? That makes a longer term, more tied down. He was talking about personal guarantees and loan earlier. If we give money, there's personal guarantees and it's locked in as well. So it's a very strong business decision to look at the whole picture rather than just how much money or, and another thing Jason said too, is you gotta take the emotion out of it. This is the best thing. And I get it because it's emotional, because I'm dealing with, working with a lot of third generations where their grandfather started in the hotel business and then the dad took it over and now they're coming in. So there's an emotional attachment because a lot of them live on property. They live there, they sleep there, they breathe there, they've done everything. So I take that into account. So again, if you scan the back of that, you can reach out to me. I'll answer any questions, go more in detail and kind of how we're different. And I'll be the first one to say, if it's not going to fit, I'll tell you it's not going to fit. Because last thing I want to do is do a deal now and then down the road, it doesn't work. And then we lose that connection, you lose your credibility with your client. And I think it's important to me. I think that's it. Now the important part, right? Anybody have any questions about how, the franchising part of it? I mean, there's a lot to it. But at the end of the day, it's the flexibility that I think that wins with the brand. And you got to understand is you need to do what's best for your client, not what's best for the brand, right? Any questions? Yes.
I would assume that the franchise fees are different depending on which segment of the
And I'm glad you brought that up because a good point of what we do differently than any other hotel does. Our economy brands, like America's Best Value Inn, Nights Inn. I do have a brand called Signature Inn, which is like a real cool mid-century modern retro that we convert in a lot of college towns or destination areas. We take an old asset that's 40, 50 years old and you do a refresher renovation on it and you're tripling your rate because again, the market is the market. So those are what we call flat fees. They're $1 amount per room per month. So when you go above that into the mid-scale, upper mid-scale, and other brands, typically in the industry, it's 5% royalty, 3% marketing. And then what I always do is, a lot of the brands, that's all they negotiate on. Our loyalty program, which is the rewards program, is a lot lower than other brands. So I bring that differentiation up too. But usually the percent models are based on gross rooms revenue. Some brands, if you're full service, you can say it's based on restaurant revenue too. We don't do that. But our catch, or I should say our catch, but our claim to fame and when people like us in the economy world, this is a flat fee model. And then if you add revenue management services and all this other stuff, there's fees upon fees upon fees, but we can negotiate those as well. Everything's negotiable except my commission. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say that next.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dallas. Yeah, so Dallas was very helpful when it comes to hotel deals. Like I was working with him on a different hotel. And I was like, okay, well, like when he mentioned about emotional attach, I'm working on with his clients where he has to be like disguise himself when he toured the hotel with us months ago. And, she thinks her hotel probably costs like $100 million when it's not, So there could be sometimes emotional attachment when it comes to commercial too. But, Dallas was so quick. I sent it to him and he was like, okay, let me run some numbers. he came back and said, this is our presentation, right? If we're gonna do this branding under Sonesta, then it's gonna be, this is this, right? So, before we move on, I wanna share with you a little bit about our tours, okay? But first, I wanna thank you, Titan Title, for sponsoring our lunch. As always, they have been very useful and very supportive. And of course, there are a couple of attorneys in-house, like I say, don't do this for yourself. You gotta have an attorney, and they are here. They can help you with legal advice and all the information and handle the closing as well. So the tour that we are going to go after lunch, I'm gonna show you guys two different hotels, okay? One is under the Sonesta ES, and the other one is Sonesta Select, okay? So a lot of information I know, jot all this down, get our contact information. We're gonna go grab lunch right outside of this training room, and then we're gonna go to the touring site. Let me see if I can get you the address of the tour. There's my contact information. If you wanna get that QR code, ask us, we're here to support you. Then I'll get you the address of our tour. It's off of 75 and Walnut Hill. Am I right, Dennis? I think so. I've had geography in school, so I'm sure. Okay. Got it? Okay, let me see here, we have the address. Let me go back to slide 1. Sorry, guys. What's the address of the tour? Bear with me.
I'm pulling it up here too.
Oh. There it is, 10333 North Central Expressway. I'm gonna start with that, and then the other one is right next to it. Daniel, lunch is ready? All right, well, lunch is ready. Please grab lunch outside. We can mingle, we can talk, we can ask questions. Maybe you can bring it back here. Daniel's gonna share with you our upcoming events, trainings, etc. So thank you so much, everyone.
Questions for you. If I have a client spend time 31